16:9 aspect ratios that we're seeing. But otherwise, we've got the same specs. So we've got the Snapdragon 835 SoC inside of this guy. Opening up the box. Whoop. We still have that option to get 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. There is still no SD card slot for this, but we do have dual SIM capabilities, which is really nice. Let's go ahead and pull this off. And there is a screen protector that's built in. I will take that off later. So really what we can mention that's new here is we have the fingerprint sensor that's now on the back. Here is the midnight black version of the OnePlus 5. And you can see that that fingerprint sensor is on the front. And I'm actually really excited about this because there's a feature that I love having when the fingerprint sensor is on the back. Here we have my Pixel 2. I really love being able to pull downward on the fingerprint sensor to check out notifications, and now we're going to be able to do that same thing with this one as well. So let's go ahead and start powering this up. I'm hoping I've got a good screen. I'm hoping that I got a uniform display. So instead of that 16:9 aspect ratio that we've been used to with the OnePlus 5 and below, we've got that 18:9. I believe they said it's over 80% screen to body ratio now. So this is a 6-inch display, still the equivalent of 1080p, but that's okay for performance especially. So I'm continuing to let that set up. So far so good, it looks okay for screen uniformity. Another thing that we have that's different is the camera setup. So we used to have the main camera and also a telephoto camera as well, and OnePlus has gotten rid of that telephoto camera in favor of one that's supposed to be better in low light. So we've got a 16 megapixel camera on the back as well as a 20 megapixel camera. That's actually the low light camera. And it's interesting that it's got smaller pixels than the main camera does. And it's got the same aperture as the main camera as well. But really what they're saying that they're doing is combining 4 pixels at once to capture more light. I've heard mixed reviews about this so far, but others are really praising it, saying that it's definitely lighter than the camera was with the OnePlus 5. So I will test that out myself. So now I've gotten to a point in this setup where it's asking me to set up the face unlock. Now from what I've seen, this is one of the fastest face unlocks that's out there using the front-facing camera. They say with more than 100 points to distinguish your face, but this is not the likes of the iris scanner of the Galaxy Note 8 or even Face ID that we have on iPhone 10, as it's just not supposed to be a very secure method. If you want that, use the fingerprint sensor on the back. I think this is really supposed to be one of those Me Too features that appeals to people who are really liking the face unlock now, although it's been available since forever with Android phones. So I'm going to go ahead and finish setting that up. Okay, wow, I just finished the setup process. I'm underneath Face Unlock, just tweaking with the settings. By default for Face Unlock, it has auto unlock after the screen is on. And this is so fast at unlocking that I don't even realize that the phone was locked to begin with. So if I'm looking at it and I just turn it on, it's already unlocked. If I didn't hear the unlock noise, I would have no idea. But obviously it is locked because I can see the lock right here. Interesting. Very, very fast. So yeah, that's going to beg the question of how secure is that? Now my first impression of this display is that it's beautiful. I like this. Yes, it's not as dense as some of the displays out there because this is a 1080p display at 6 inches. So it's 401 pixels per inch. But I don't think that most people are going to care. This is really, really nice. Very nice and vibrant screen. Of course, it's been manufactured by Samsung. Let's peel this off. Ah, there we go. So check that out. Screen on the entire face. Just by having this screen here being so big alone, that's got to be worth the upgrade. Unless you really like having bezels, and I do. And now we do have some burn-in to worry about because the navigation buttons are going to stay on the display all the time, where before you could choose if you wanted them to be virtual or capacitive. But yeah, that's gorgeous. And thankfully my display is nice and uniform as well. I don't really know what it is about OnePlus, but it has that simplicity to it that really feels like standard Android with some extra features on top that just makes me kind of giddy to use these phones. Plus the performance of the OnePlus 5 is stupidly fast. So I'm excited. 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of internal storage. I'm sure this is going to make my top smartphones of the year. Now, before I get too overly excited, let's finish opening what was in the box. So I believe that this comes with a case. Yes, yes it does. It looks like a TPU case. Okay, that's empty. So you've got your SIM ejection tool, quick start guide there. That's a really nice package, you guys. We've got $1,000 phones out right now. And still, below that $600 range here, we've got a really nice flagship-like phone with great features. Really beautiful display. So that's a decent little TPU case. It feels a bit loose to me. I'd probably prefer using one of these other cases that I'm going to try on for fit. Then we've also got the dash charger in the box. Now this is one of my absolute favorite features of these OnePlus phones. You can plug in your device and have it continue to charge while you're doing whatever you want with it. It's not being throttled down. And that comes in handy for me because I just can't put my phones down. I'm always messing with them. And unfortunately, the bulk of them don't charge very quickly when I have them on. So that's excellent. It's got the same 3,300 milliamp hour battery as the OnePlus 5 does. I'll have to see how it does with battery life with just a little bit bigger of a display, although I'm really not so concerned. Now before we grab these cases and try them on, some things that this is omitting is that we do not have stereo speakers, and this of course is in an unfortunate location to be blocked. I've always had that trouble. Same thing with my OnePlus 5s, but we still have this headphone jack, which is great if you're not willing to give that up yet. We don't have any true water resistance to speak of, but that's okay. It looks like, from what everyone is saying, that this should be able to withstand some splashes or being out in the rain, and you shouldn't have a problem. So, cases. I was extremely excited to see this. I love red. That is my favorite color. So this looks like a silicone red type case. And this is probably what I'm going to be using. Okay, immediately as I look at this, it's got a soft touch inside of it, kind of like a suede. Reminds me very much of, well, iPhone cases. And that complements well. I like that this is a nice, happy, bright OnePlus red. Oftentimes, though, I really like OnePlus's shell type cases, even though I'm not a fan of cases, because they feel like they complement the device rather than bulking it and weighing it down. Okay, interesting. So this one is silicone-ish too, with a hard back. Now that looks nice. And definitely, it does not add a lot of bulk. And there you've got the other colors here. All right, so before I wrap up, I had a chance to set up the fingerprint sensor. It's nice and fast and accurate should you not want to use the face unlock. And you can see that, yes, you can do that pull down thing with your finger. Although I see that when my hands are clammy, and they are right now, especially because I'm sick, it's not as responsive to pull down or push back upward. Go back up. So maybe they can update that to be a bit more sensitive for this gesture. Now I noticed underneath the camera that we still have that magnification ability. Now of course we don't have the telephoto lens anymore, so you're just doing a digital zoom and they're just trying to enhance it. They say that it's similar to the telephoto zoom before. I don't know about that. I'll have to test that myself. So what do you guys think about the way that these cameras are set up? A 16 megapixel sensor and a 20 megapixel sensor. They're both the same focal length with an aperture of f1.7. I don't really mind this honestly, but it makes me wonder why they couldn't have done all of this with just one camera. My thought is that they wanted to implement the portrait mode so they could gather depth information from both cameras, and they say they don't have to crop anything because both of these are the same focal length, but I really don't have much interest or faith in portrait modes anyhow. Otherwise, this is a OnePlus phone. It looks very much like the OnePlus 5. Aside from the size of this display and that fingerprint sensor on the back, it looks very, very much the same. So I can't wait to test this out. Guys, please ask me your questions. This has been Erica, the Technology Nerd, likes to film stuff. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and please be patient with me. I've been sick all week long. I've got a lot of videos that I am planning to release. I just finished writing my iPhone 10 review, and I'm going to be combining that with the iPhone 8s as well. That way, all of the devices inform each other. I'm also going to be reviewing the Pixel phones, although I've been holding off on this on purpose because of the Pixel 2 XL. I'm hoping that Google releases a phone that fixes some of the issues that they've been having. I want to give this phone a good review. The Pixel 2 is great, but the XL is the one that really suffers. So hang tight for all of these things. Let me know what you guys think about this phone. Ask your questions, and have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye!